Hey everyone, my name is Asad. I'm 28 years old and I'm from Pakistan. But just 4 months ago, I couldn't speak even one full sentence in English, not even "How are you?" without thinking too much. I was completely lost. Today, I want to share how I learned English in only 4 months, without expensive classes, without going abroad, and without wasting time on useless methods. But this isn't just my story. It can be your story too, if you've ever felt stuck, nervous, or embarrassed because of your English. Keep watching. I was in the same place as you, and if you listen to my full journey step by step, you'll know exactly how to improve your English too. So let's go back to the beginning, because my story didn't start with motivation. It started with a big failure that changed everything. I always dreamed of working for an international IT company. I wanted to be a web developer in a big tech company. I loved coding and worked hard every day to become the best. After years of effort, I finally got my chance. I applied for a company in the UK, and one day I received an email. Congratulations, you are selected for an interview. I was so happy. I imagined living in a new country, earning a great salary, and working with amazing people. But then the interview happened. I still remember it clearly. I joined the Zoom call. Two interviewers, both native English speakers. They started talking, and it felt like their voices were in fast forward. I couldn't understand anything. The first question was, "Can you tell us about yourself and your experience in web development?" I panicked. I knew the answer in my head, but my mouth stopped working. I said, yes, I am programmer. I do coding, many projects, good. The silence that followed felt painful. One of them smiled and said, "All right, Asad, thank you for your time." I knew what that meant. I failed, not because I wasn't good at my job, but because I couldn't speak English. That day, I understood something powerful. English isn't just a language, it's a key, and I didn't have that key. I felt ashamed and angry at myself. For years, I told myself, I don't need English. I'll just be great at my work. But now I knew the truth. Without English, I was invisible. That night, I made a decision. I would learn English and I would learn it fast. Most people, when they start learning English, spend money on expensive courses. But I didn't, because I had already tried them and they didn't work. A year ago, I joined an online English class. The teacher made me memorize vocabulary and grammar rules, but after 3 months, I still couldn't speak. So I realized expensive classes aren't the answer. If I wanted real progress, I needed a different system, something that works in real life. That's when I created my 4-month method, the first 15 days. In the beginning, I made a big mistake. I thought I needed to learn more words, but I already knew hundreds of words. The problem wasn't vocabulary, it was how to use them. So, for the first 15 days, I didn't learn new words. I practiced using the words I already knew. Here's what I did. Made a survival sentence list. I wrote down 50 simple sentences I needed every day, like, "Hi, how are you? Can you repeat that? I don't understand." Every morning, I read these sentences out loud 10 times. After a few days, they became automatic. Talked to myself in English. Every day, I spoke to myself. In the shower, while cooking, any time. I'm taking a shower. I'm making breakfast. At first, I felt silly, but soon my brain started thinking in English. Practiced 10 sentences a day. Each day, I picked 10 sentences from movies or YouTube and copied the native speaker's tone and speed exactly. This helped me fix my pronunciation and sound natural. After 15 days, I stopped translating in my head. I could speak basic sentences confidently. After 15 days, the real practice begins. Now I was ready for the next step. I didn't just want to speak short sentences. I wanted real conversations. So I started using the question-answer method. It's simple but powerful. Ask yourself a question in English. Answer it immediately without thinking too much. Repeat with different answers. Example. Question, what did you do today? Answer 1, I worked. Answer 2, I worked on my project. Answer 3, I worked on my project for 3 hours. Answer 4, I worked on my project for 3 hours, then took a break. Every time I added more details, and my speaking got faster and more natural. Another example. Question, what did you eat for breakfast? Answer 1, I ate eggs. Answer 2, I ate eggs and toast. Answer 3, I ate eggs, toast, and a banana because I was hungry. I practiced this 30 minutes a day, and my fluency exploded. But one big problem remained. My pronunciation. Even when I spoke well, my accent was too strong. That's when I discovered the echo technique. Here's how it works. Listen to a native speaker from a movie or podcast. Pause after each sentence. Repeat exactly. Same tone, same speed, same emotion. This single habit improved my pronunciation more than any class ever did. For example, I took a short clip from a movie. The character said, I don't know what you're talking about. I paused and repeated, I don't know what you're talking about. At first, it was difficult, but after repeating it 10 to 15 times, my voice started to sound just like the native speaker. Another time, I used a podcast. The line was, it was a beautiful day, so I decided to go for a walk. I paused and repeated it again and again. I did this every day for an hour, and after 1 month, my pronunciation improved so much that even native speakers said, wow, your English sounds really natural. I knew vocabulary was important too, but memorizing word lists never worked for me, so I started using the story method. Here's how it works. I took 5 new words every day. I made a short story using all 5 words. I read the story aloud 10 times. I use those words in real conversations. Example, new words, excited, invitation, party, arrive, surprise, my story. I was very excited because I received an invitation to a big party. When I arrived, I got a huge surprise. It was my birthday party. I did this every day, and after 3 months, I had learned over 1,000 new words without memorizing anything. One big problem most learners face is thinking in their native language first and then translating into English. This makes speaking slow and unnatural. So I trained my brain to think directly in English. Here's how I did it. I described everything around me in English. For example, when I went outside, I thought, the sky is blue. The weather is hot. That man is wearing a red shirt. I asked myself questions and answered in English. What am I doing right now? I'm sitting in a chair, drinking coffee, and writing in my notebook. I wrote a daily journal in English every night. At first, my sentences were simple, but after a few weeks, my writing became smooth and natural. After some time, something amazing happened. I stopped translating. English words just came naturally to my mind. I also made one powerful rule. Every day I had to speak English for at least 2 hours. No excuses. If I had no one to talk to, I talked to myself. If I was busy, I spoke while cooking or walking. If I felt lazy, I reminded myself, English is my future. I cannot quit. After a couple of months, my final breakthrough. After building strong habits of listening and speaking, I wanted to go further, but I also realized something very important. Just speaking wasn't enough. I needed to understand grammar and sentence structure to sound natural and confident. So I started observing how native speakers actually spoke. Whenever I heard a sentence, I didn't just repeat it. I asked myself, why is it said this way? For example, I heard people say, I have been learning English for 6 months, but in school I learned I am learning English for 6 months. That was my first big realization. The English we learn in school is often different from the English people really use. I studied how tenses work in real conversations. Why do people say, I have been learning instead of I am learning? I found that small details like this make your English sound truly natural. I also struggled with prepositions. On the bus, but in the car, at night, but in the morning. So I kept a small notebook where I wrote confusing examples with explanations. Whenever I was unsure, I searched online or listened carefully to how native speakers used them. To improve my writing, I started keeping a daily diary in English. At first, it was simple. Today, I went to work. I was tired. I ate pizza. It was good, but soon I wanted to sound more natural, so I started reading blogs, books, and articles to see how native speakers wrote, and then I copied their style in my writing. One technique that really accelerated my progress was shadowing. I listened to videos of native speakers using headphones and repeated every word right after them. Same speed, same rhythm, same emotion. I practiced this for 30 minutes a day, and within a few weeks, my pronunciation improved dramatically. Another trick that helped me was watching English movies with subtitles, but actively. I paused after every sentence and repeated it, focusing on tone and rhythm. Slowly, my English began to sound smoother and more natural. At this point, I learned a crucial lesson. English is not just about grammar and vocabulary, it's about confidence. Many people know English but are too afraid to speak. I decided I wouldn't be afraid anymore. I spoke English at work, in stores, and with friends. Even when I made mistakes, and to my surprise, people still understood me. They didn't laugh. That gave me more confidence to continue. Then came my biggest fear, talking to native English speakers. I was scared they wouldn't understand me or that I'd freeze. So I made a plan. I prepared 12 common conversation topics and practiced them every day. How was your day? What do you do for work? What's your favorite food? Once I felt ready, I joined an online group where people from different countries practiced English together. At first, I was nervous, but soon I realized everyone was there to learn, just like me. I made friends from around the world and we practiced daily. Learning became fun and exciting. As I reached the final stage of my English journey, I felt unshakable confidence. I was no longer the person who failed an interview because of poor English. I had transformed step by step through effort, practice, and the right mindset. One day, while speaking to myself in the mirror like I always did, I noticed something different. I wasn't hesitating. I wasn't translating. The words were flowing naturally. It felt like magic, but it wasn't. It was the result of months of consistent practice. That same day, I decided to test myself. I joined an online discussion with people from different countries, and for the first time, I spoke confidently and freely. At first, I was nervous, but then I reminded myself, I've worked too hard to doubt myself now. I started speaking, and the words came out clearly, confidently. For the first time, I didn't struggle to find the right words. I understood everything others were saying without feeling lost. People listened to me. They nodded, smiled, and even asked questions. It was an incredible feeling. That was the day I realized I had achieved fluency. After starting my journey, I applied for my dream job again. But this time, I wasn't the same Asad who had walked in nervously months ago. I wasn't the guy who hesitated, who felt small, who couldn't express himself. No, this time, I walked into that interview room with confidence. I sat in front of the interviewer, not as someone afraid of English, but as someone who had mastered it. I spoke clearly. I answered every question with ease. I wasn't just speaking English. I was owning it, and I could see it in their eyes. They were impressed, not just with my English, but with my effort, my persistence, my transformation. A few days later, I got the call I'll never forget. Asad, congratulations, you got the job. For a moment, I couldn't believe it. My dream job, the same company that once rejected me, now wanted me. My starting salary was £3,000 a month, more than I had ever imagined earning. I stood there holding my phone, eyes full of tears. The first thing I did was call my parents. Mom, Dad, I did it. My mother started crying, and my father, a man who rarely shows emotions, simply said, "We always knew you could." In that moment, I realized I wasn't just doing this for myself, I was doing it for them too. With my first salary, I bought my father a beautiful dress, something he always wanted but never bought. For my mother, a gold necklace, to thank her for all her sacrifices. When I gave them the gifts, they refused at first. "We don't need anything, son," they said, but I shook my head. No, this is my way of saying thank you. Thank you for believing in me even when I didn't believe in myself. And in that moment, I knew every struggle, every late night, every time I wanted to give up, it was all worth it.